Record. All righty. So tonight we're going to start on page 34 in your books, and I will be giving you the information. And we're going to start with coordinating and balancing your congregational actions. Under that heading, coordinating calls on the church manager to relate a varied elements and activities properly so that the ministry functions harmoniously. So you got to have your information together so that all aspects of the church flows. Because it's nothing like thinking that you have the monies for something and it's not there. Coordinating also, you coordinating by organizing, you coordinating by staffing, coordinating by team building. We need these aspects of that. These processes draw the people and administrative processes together in ministry. All of this pulls us together as one. You can organize your congregation's ministry by organizing the process of developing a structure and work plan that help persons or people become meaningfully involved in the goals of the congregation. So with that congregation, with the organizations and pulling people together, you can get more people on your team as far as what goals you're trying to reach. Okay. On the next page at the top, organizational structuring is one congregational application of creation. God created us to work together. We have one body and it all has parts, just like our church or our organizations. Number two, you can coordinate staffing your congregation's organization. Why is the question that is important to me at this point. Why? Because spiritual gifts provide the basis for staffing the church's organization. If someone is not spiritually fitting for that position or that organization, it's going to be chaos. Anybody? Make sense to anybody? Everybody? Okay. On page 36, there are several issues that are critical to staffing church organizations. And I'm going to ask Ms. Harris if she would give me one.
The ideal staffing system relates 3 persons to each job. 1 person training for the future, 1 doing the job now, and 1 experienced worker coaching the other 2.
Okay. Ms. Jessup.
Yes. Persons who are responsible for enlisting workers need to be clear about the motivation, rewards, and moral levels of volunteer workers and how these factors differ from those of employees.
Okay, Ms. Phillips. Okay. Ms. Smith.
Forecast the church's leadership needs.
Right. Ms. Young.
Identify future leaders.
There we go. We have to have successors. Pastor Ricky?
Enlist enlist needed leaders, link their personal gifts and organization goals.
There you go. Miss Moore.
On what page are you guys on?
Page 36. Toward the top, under several issues are critical for staffing.
Enlist needed leaders, link their personal gifts.
We are provide a list of tasks.
Tasks and expectations and agree on what work will be done.
Right. Ms. Scott.
Provide training opportunities for new volunteer leaders.
And Ms. Broswell, that right? Oh, you driving? Never mind. No. You good? You good? You good? No problem. The last one is provide us supervisory skills training for directors who will guide the volunteer staff. And with this, it seems to be a lot for administration to make sure this is done, but this is the ministry of administration, because we help hold and glue some things together so that the church will run properly. Number 3, you can build your church's ministry team. Under what? The team building is the process of turning diversity into unity. We can take folks with different avenues of life, with different skill sets, and help them, direct them in how to work together in unity. Under how, team building holds 2 congregational concerns in balanced tension. Number 1 is creating a family atmosphere, and the second one is getting ministry done. And that's, for me, it works kind of like how what we do is have the seniors work with the youth. Help them learn something different, and help the youth help the seniors. Seniors don't know how to work them phones and some technology. We can get the youth to help them do that sometime. And we get our mature ladies, I'll say, teach our younger ladies and some of the guys how to make biscuits or different things like that. So creating that atmosphere and getting everybody working together. Okay, top of page 37. The administrative model of choosing, creating, and catalyzing and coordinating provides church leaders 3 advantages. They provide advantages by providing a platform for confident action, relating practice and theology, helping ministers discover the broad administrative areas and or specific skills they need to develop by future research and education. These 3 advantages call for simple action: think, believe, and grow. And this author says that this is the helm of the ship. Okay. Chapter 3, page 38. Wow, I'm going backwards. And we're going to go midways down. It says there are 5 distinguishing characteristics of the New Testament church: worship, proclamation, education, ministry, and fellowship. And then leadership is the sixth. Okay. Administrative leadership is the glue or support that enables the 5 primary functions to operate
I'm sorry,
together.
Dr. Ramsey. Where was it? Where did you read that at?
On page 37.
I see it. Never mind.
Okay, you're fine. You're good.
You
You're
lost
good.
it for a minute. That's okay. There you go. Thank you so
You're
much.
good. You're good.
This is good though. It's a lot, but it's good.
I'm trying to give you, bits and pieces, but I'm trying to make sure that you have the information you need to carry on
Appreciate it.
and grow. All right. So we're going to move to page 39 of the basic church programs. There are 6 established church programs, and they are Bible teaching, discipleship. On page 40, music ministry, men's mission program, women's mission program, and pastoral ministries. In each church, these programs look a little different, so that's all right. Okay, under determining organizational structure, the essential elements in deciding how to organize include identifying the specific purpose of organization, finding the best way to achieve that stated purpose, and defining clear areas of responsibility and decision-making in the overall administration of the church and in each component. Everybody all right with me? All right. All right, on the top of page 41, general coordination. An effective organizational structure includes a church council or other administrative groups that would be in charge of planning, coordinating, and evaluating the church's program and ministries. We keep them organized so everybody don't be coming up saying, well, I got a program this night and I want to do this, so I only use the monies for this purpose or that. We keep it organized for them. Under church council, the principal function of church council is to assist the church in determining its course and to coordinate and evaluate its works. Okay. We're going to turn to page 41. I'm saying no. We're going to turn to page 44, excuse me. There are, in here, there are forms, copies of forms and things that you could use, structures that you can use. Again, each church is different. So you'll be able to read over and decide what's best for your organization. Okay. On page 44, under age division coordinators and directors, the principal function is to counsel age division leaders and coordinate the work of units within the age division and as assigned. The duties. Wait a minute, missed that.
Excuse me. You
Yes, ma'am.
said the age division coordination did you do in the conference or the coordination? When you said principal functions, is that what you were saying for the age
Yes, ma'am.
division?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Coordinators and directors.
okay,
Under duties, there's several of them. I will ask you for a couple. On the test, most of the time I don't ask you for all, because I do realize this is a lot of writing. If I did so I'll ask you for a couple of these. So consult with department leaders to resolve different issues and problems, to give assistance in classifying and re-enrolling new members, consult with department heads, to give individual guidance to department directors, to work with church program leaders, to provide training options, to work with director of recreation, to give assistance as needed, coordinate age division, visitation, encourage and provide assistance to leaders in planning and evaluating their work, and serve in the capacities. Well, again, every organization may not have a recreation department but you use what works for your organization. Okay. Grouping people. There are 3 general approaches to dividing congregations into manageable groups for educational and other purposes. And they are age, compatibility, and interest. Okay. And from there, we're going to go to page 48. And again, there are charts and forms that you can use if need be. On page 48, under church officers and committees, under the second paragraph, it says committees exist to plan, coordinate, implement, and evaluate the work assigned to them by the church. This is the job and the duties of. Okay. Top of 49.
Could you repeat that again?
Yes, ma'am. Committees exist to plan, coordinate, implement, and evaluate the work assigned to them by the church. And that's middle of the page on page 48.
Will we see this again on our test?
Yes, sir. What I'm giving you, you will see on the test.
Perfect. Okay.
Because if I gave you all of this stuff for a test, we would never, you'd have one big long test for 7 weeks. We don't want to do that to you. So I chose a few things out of each chapter so it would help you along the way. On page 49, top of the page, that first paragraph says, the variety and extent of church structure will vary greatly depending on the church's size and resources. And all of this all this information will be governed by that, because some stuff may not pertain to your church depending on its size and the resources that you have. If you don't have the people or the funds, then it may not pertain to you. The bottom of 49 says guidelines for the administrator. There are those. There's 10 of those. So I'm gonna ask if those that are not driving, Ms. McCoy, can you read number 1?
Determine the purpose and organizational structure for each program. Prepare a chart listing every position and unit and the
Go to page 54.
name of every officer and teacher. Place the information at the front of the reference notebook folder devoted to educational administration.
All right.
You want me to go
Ms.
ahead?
Phillips.
Oh.
If you'll read number 2. Number 2.
Oh, you talking to me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I'm still at work too.
Oh, okay.
So
Go ahead.
use or establish a church council or committee of key leaders to plan, coordinate, and evaluate the church's total ministry. Meet at least monthly. Suggestions for forming such a group are included in Chapter 8, Planning and Budgeting.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
You're
Ms.
welcome.
Young, number 3.
I'm sorry, Dr. Ramsey, I stepped away.
Yes, sir.
What page are we on?
We are on page 54. We are the guidelines for the administrator. Number 3. Ms. Young.
Number 3,
Yes, ma'am.
prepare job description for all positions. Be sure to include duties, decision-making authority, and the person to whom the worker is responsible.
All right. All right. Ms. Scott.
Number 4, make annual plans for each organization. Follow the enlistment of officers for a new church year. Schedule a planning workshop to develop goals and make plans for the next 12 months before meeting. Distribute the appropriate purpose and organizational statements to each leader, along with suggested areas of evaluation and goal setting. Ask each organizational leader to consult with his or her coordinating group for orientation and evaluation, and to develop proposed goals and plans to be considered at the planning workshop.
Okay.
For a worksheet, for assistance with planning, see Chapter 8.
And they give you, again, some charts and forms to help along with that. These are some of the areas, these are guidelines for what we will be doing in our organizations. Ms. Harris, can you do number 5 for me?
Yes, number 5, budget for regular expenses such as curriculum materials and for all special items in the annual plan. Delegate to organizational leaders as appropriate.
All right. Ms. Smith.
Maintain a master calendar list in all plans, persons responsible, and budget provisions, if any. Use this calendar to monitor activities, record progress toward goals, as a diary of your reactions concerning various events, and as a guide in planning with the church staff.
Mr. Ricky, Pastor Ricky.
7, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's maintain a complete record system for each organization, listing persons involved, contact information, the contact information, officers, and attendance records. This information is needed for communication and planning.
Ms. Moore.
Use the information to keep work focused. Information gathered and the material developed will be especially helpful when enlisting and obtaining new leaders, planning and enlargement, determining organization problems, and the similar administrative duties.
Yes, and evaluate programs and organizations periodically and annually, spending time between each church council and program committee meeting, assessing the effectiveness of recent work. Look at records, review the master calendar, and check any information you have received or gained from your contact with various programs, departments, and committees. Discuss current needs with other leaders and adjust the annual plan as needed. Prepare annually an extensive evaluation to present to the congregation and to the planning workshop. Use these in developing future goals and plans. And the 10th one says, follow the basic principles of working with, for, and through people in administrating church organizations. The 3 I's will guide you: inform, inspire, and involve. So it seems like it's a lot to be a church administrator. Been doing it for a minute. But we are by doing so effectively, we can help the church to grow and function effectively.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So you've done all this that you're teaching on?
Yes, sir.
Or experienced it?
Sir, I have experience. Yes, sir. I was trained military administrator to start with, and I went from general administration and admin to adjunct to the colonel and XO, and I've administration through my church, and with our organization War Fellowship, I am an adjunct and administrator there, as well as treasurer through the Disabled American Veterans Chapter 68. And they all flow with keeping records straight, keeping the information, so because people come to you right quick, what's going on over here, or what do we have in this area? Well, I want to do this, and I don't see how. I need the money to do this. I've had people come and say, well, I want to do this for pastor, but I need this amount of money for the pastor's anniversary. And I'm like, okay, I need receipts. Give me estimates so we can get to the committee and do this, that. And everybody don't understand that. Some people, smaller churches, and a lot of our churches are, well, I got the hookup. Let me get, no, sir. Because I told my church when they asked me to be the administrator, I'm not going to jail for any one of y'all. If they come to me, I'm going to hand them the books. Because it's not playing. It's no game. I've worked in several areas, so yes, sir.
I really enjoyed this. This is a really good book, but I do want to say I did read, I think it was in chapter 2, that administration, and I didn't know this. This administration is more than just doing paperwork.
Oh, yes.
But it's about bringing people together and working together.
Yes, sir.
You got to be really skilled of doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because if you don't know, the information, you start with the paperwork, and you help unify people who come and say, well, no, that shouldn't be, or like I said, the person that says I want to do, but they don't want to deal with receipts. They got the hookup, and they just want to go and pay for this and get this. And you have to help them understand and bring together the other party that's going, well, no, we don't need help, jail, and help people flow together. This author says, we're the glue, so to speak. It's a ministry. We got to know how to really deal with people. If you're not a people person, if you can't deal with people, this is not the job for you, because folks will pluck your nerve.
Yeah, I was just asked to be a church administrator like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh Lord. And then we had this class coming up. I'm like, look at God.
Want to do it.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So it takes patience on the part of the administrator, because Everybody does not have the same upbringing or on the same spiritual level. So they may not come to you and talk to you in a Christian-like manner sometime, or they may say stuff off the wall and not really meaning to. Everybody's not meant for this job. So there's a way to say anything. You can tell some baby, that ain't gonna work, or no, you got to know how to talk with people. You got to know how to relate to people. So, and I enjoy it myself. I enjoy it because I like seeing stuff flow. And when we have our symposium or holy convocation, like I said, this last Thursday, I left after finishing class, and my husband and I packed up and went straight to Shelby, an hour and a half away, for a symposium, leadership symposium. And I taught there on holistic medicine and ways of helping to better yourself and help your health and things like that. So when we do a lot of the paperwork part, but also making sure everything flows the way it should, because stuff happens, life be lifing. We had several people that were sick and couldn't come, that were on the board, on the program, to be speakers or to be teachers, and you have backups. So if stuff can happen, you have something in place or somebody in place to be able to step in, and it helps it flow. So we do a lot of that. Okay, I'm gonna try to get through the next couple of pages before we finish. On page 56, talks about how to relate to organizational leaders. That second sentence saying, being administrator does not mean that you make all the decisions, attend all the meetings, or do all the work yourself. Remember that your job is to coordinate and guide many areas of work rather than to immerse yourself into the details. So you learn to delegate a lot of things. You can have a generalized plan and say, okay, you do this, you go here. And that's what they said, you be administrator. Because delegation, you have to. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself batty trying to do it all yourself and trying to keep track of all. You have people that you can put in place to handle certain things, and they come and report back to you with said paperwork, and you can add that to your list and as backup for receipts. Under organizational records and reports, that last sentence says, provide an update of activities in monthly or quarterly business meetings and a summary report at the end of each church year. That way, everybody can stay on the same page. If you have some reports, because like I said, life be life, and as my daughter says, and stuff happens. And this way you can keep track of and make any changes that need to be made and adjust as need be. Under records, at the bottom, it says, once leaders select an appropriate record system and secure the essential supplies for its operation, there should be a training to ensure proper use of the system. And I know this may sound redundant or duh, but everybody don't know this. Everybody don't think about this. Oh, I got it. They'll figure it out. Everybody's not on the same level of computer operations or even the book planning, record keeping. So even if it's paper trail, which I love keeping a paper trail. I have stuff on computer, but I always have a backup because computers get glitches and you may lose something that's on there. You have your backup with the paper trail. So we have to train our folks on what we want, because everybody's not on the same page. Everybody don't know that this is something, because if you think about it, if you don't secure your information and train your people. Yes, sir. Pastor, you had your hand raised.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Would this be something that all pastors need to know, even if they don't do the administration job? At least they know it and to teach somebody
Yes.
to do
Yes.
it. Okay.
It would help if the pastor knows it, then he knows how it should flow, and he can work with the administrator better. If the pastor has no clue, he could be one of those that's saying, well, why can't we? And the administrator going, but we got to make sure we have the people, the finances, and XYZ to do this. And then it could be havoc with the congregation, administration, the pastor, the different organizations. Because the pastor could tell somebody, yeah, you can do whatever it is they want to do, and then they come and, well, pastor said I could, and he has no clue what needs to be done. Most smaller churches, the pastor's involved in, and he helps with the regular functioning of the churches. But a lot of the bigger churches with 300,000 and 400,000 people, they have no clue. They don't know the inner workings of. My daughter attends Elevation Church in Charlotte, and we go and help with they have what's called Love Week every week, every summer, to help out schools, the police, the different hospitals. They help out. Then they had Tent City. We would go and make no-sew blankets to help send out. They would have volunteers come in, family members and whoever would come in and help the disaster relief, and they would make buckets to pack on a truck and to send off if there's a hurricane or a flood or something. And again, the blankets for nursing homes or with diabetes, the kidney dialysis centers and stuff like that. And the pastor, he had no clue about the inner workings. He knew he had an idea, which he talked over with his administrative staff, and they came together with a plan. And he's been, I think he's been there once or twice. I've seen him personally. Good guy, but he's doing other stuff in ministry here, there, and yonder, but he has people that in place that make sure stuff is done. So it is, I would say pastors in general should know how to run, how administration should work.
Yes, because if the tax people come or whoever come, they want to see that pastor as well. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you walk around with blind eyes and you don't know anything about what's going on in the church, then they'll run to this one and they'll come to you and they'll ask you questions, and you don't have the information, then you look like Dodo the bird. You know what I'm saying? And you're trying to teach them, and you're the pastor.
Yes, but the pastor's name is on the top.
That's it.
That pastor's name, he's the pastor, she is going to be the one that gets the majority of the blame. Even though you may know nothing about what's going on, but you're going to get that blame because you are the pastor. You're the shepherd over that flock.
But if you show them that you have the knowledge of everything from the finances to every department, you get involved. That don't mean go do the job, but get involved and know what's if it's a youth mission or a home mission, you know what's going on in those departments. You don't have to do the job, but it's wise to know what's going on in your church, because it's your name they're gonna call first, Pastor Ricky.
It sure is. And we're gonna move on to page 60 under mediator. The principal function. The chief responsibility of the mediator is to prepare for and preside at church business meetings. It is to coordinate and facilitate productive business meetings in an orderly, efficient manner. Many churches require that the pastor serve as the mediator. So as pastor, you need to, even though you don't do it, you need to know what it's about. Because you are responsible for that flock.
Yes, I asked that question because I know the role of a pastor, and um, is the pastors already have enough on them. But yeah, I do agree that they should not be blinded of what's going on in the church. Even if he can't attend every meeting, his secretary should have a copy of what happened, what was talked about, what's going on, what's the plans and everything, like on his desk or email or something, so he knows what's going on. So when he is questioned, he's not blinded. He's not in the dark.
Right.
He knows what's going on at all times. So,
and that is the job of the administrator.
yes. So you got to have a great administrator, that can multitask
Yes.
that assignment.
Yes. Yes. And in closing, I will say there is a National Association of Church Business Administration. There's an organization that can help with training, that will help with getting resources, all that type of stuff. And I'll get you the website and that type of stuff if you'd like to get that information. But they help to help you further along, because this is just the icebreaker. This is just the start. Are there any more questions, comments, concerns, or remarks?
I would say, the Baptist, Presbyterian, Lutheran church, they've been having these for years, but people that have their own private churches and sitting by themselves, there's a lot of them do not do this. But I think it's very, very important that we keep business in order.
Yes.
It's a lot of churches that can shout good, speak in tongues, run around the church, sing real good, but have just not business minded, or you don't have people that surround you as business minded. Everybody can't be the same. Everybody has a responsibility to do,
right,
and you have to do it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. This is really good.
I'm glad. I'll leave you with this. When I was in my teens, I knew of a church, and the pastor, boy, he could preach, he could shout and walk on the pews, you name it, he did it. And the deaconess was the treasurer, and she ran things. She had the bank books, the money stuff in the trunk of her car. Church had no clue what was in the bank. Pastor had no clue what was in the bank. When she passed away, had a sudden heart attack, passed, her children broke their neck to get to the trunk of her car and go through them pocketbooks to get the money that was supposed to be in the bank that belonged to the church. Then the church had to go through and figure out how to pay bills and this, that, and the other. That's why you have your checks and balances. Somebody's gonna sign off on, when we take up the offering, we have 3 signatures: the trustee, secretary, and myself. We sign off on, and that is deposited in the bank. And I get the receipts of deposit slips. And then I go through, sometimes if we have different programs, and if I'm not there, I go through the church bank records and I check and make sure what is what. Because again, I'm not going to jail for nobody. But stuff like that still happens, especially in smaller churches. Some of our churches, that still happens. So the thing is, God says decent and in order. He wants it done right. And we have to hold our people accountable. And we have to be accountable. Okay, so if there's, let's see.